Welcome to this very special edition of Automotive State of the Union Dealer Talks. Today, we are I'm more than thrilled to have Todd Skelton, the CEO of the Prime Automotive Group, the number 10 auto group in the country. Also, he spent many years as the president of the Northeast for Auto Nation. Todd, thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know you're handling audibles from all directions, but thanks for taking a few minutes out with us today.
Hey, Paul, glad to be here, man. I love you. I love your show. You're one of the coolest guys out there. I mean, seriously, you cover a lot of stuff, and I'm really happy to be on with you.
Well, I very much appreciate that and appreciate you watching too. There are things coming at us from all angles. Dealers are still trying to make sense of real-time information. We can't. 30 days ago seems like 10 years ago in today's time frame. So there's a lot going on. What is at the top of your pile? I know that could definitely change regardless of what day it is, what's happening. But what are you looking at right now and spending maybe a little bit more of your attention on?
So there's this huge euphoria right now where we're turning, and I say we, and I assume it's not just me, it's the industry is turning record profits, right? And it's kind of like, how does this make any sense? We're still in the end of, hopefully the end of a pandemic, and yet auto companies are crushing it right now. We're 3 and 4x prior year, profits. Mm-hmm. And so the bigger question for me when I look at this is when does it end, right? So at some point, we saw a V-shaped recovery, no doubt about it. We didn't know how it was going to look, but it was definitely a V-shaped recovery. And there's so many variables coming in with the extra money coming in from the government, what they're going to do on the stimulus side, certainly the unemployment numbers. And then, you've got this craziness going on in the wholesale market and in the used car side of the business.
For sure.
You got manufacturer, day supply issues and production issues. But with that comes these tremendous margins. And so what my COO and I, Pete Liebisch, talk about every day is, all right, what are we going to do, man, when this thing kind of falls? Right? Because it's not going to come to a crashing halt, but It's certainly going to normalize at some point. Yep. So right now we're enjoying the fruits of the labor of what's out here right now. But we know that, whether it's 30 days or 6 days down the road, we're going to see a change.
So I think a big part of that euphoria, one of the things that's come is this incredible demand, right? We had all this pent up demand, and then all this, like you said, manufacturers stopped making cars. So there's definitely supply issues on the new car side, which has led to this craziness in the used car market. A lot of people are saying, how high can it go? We're buying cars wholesale for, retail prices. What do you think is going to happen with the wholesale market?
So we're watching it every week to look for that blip. I think once that blip kicks in, where we're going to see a drop, I'm afraid we're going to have a precipitous drop. So you got to think about the other variables too. On any given month, in a normalized month in the U.S., you got about 340,000 lease cars coming back to dealerships, right? Mm-hmm. And so there were some deferrals that took place there, and so these cars are going to start to show back up in the marketplace, along with the normal leases that are going to come back. Mm-hmm. So that's a player on what goes on. And to the extent that we still have the new car issues that we have, they may just be a natural flow into the auctions. And for me, for example, with the 56 dealerships we have, I won't let one of those cars out. Mm-hmm. So if my Mercedes-Benz dealership decides they don't want a lease return, no problem, Mr. General Manager. You don't have to keep the car, but I'm going to send it down to Subaru, right? They're going to sell the car. Now, I'm not going to put a car in the auction.
No way.
Can't get right now. So I think there's a lot of variables in it. My best thinking is probably in the next 30 days, we're going to start to see a bit of a drop. And then, the Hertz thing was going to be a big deal, but then it wasn't, right?
Yeah,
so most of those cars got sucked up before they even showed up.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy, the speed at which something that we're like, oh, this is going to be seismic. Yes. And then all of a sudden, it's like 30 days later, you're like, I didn't even really notice much.
It didn't do anything, right? I mean, the dealers bought them up and that was it. So the most interesting thing to me is when we saw this tremendous drop in wholesale. And if you looked at the curve, but the retail market didn't really react. So retail dropped, 1-2%.
Yep.
Wholesale was down around 12%. And then, of course, now we've got this thing going and retail's starting to follow it.
Yep.
How does that play out in the next 30 to 60 days? I don't know. I think what I do know probably a little more about is it appears to me that the manufacturers were originally saying, we're in full production, we're in full production. The problem with that is that we're not running all the shifts, right?
Right.
And that once you get a shift, you got COVID situations, right? So most manufacturers are still not really giving us real supply numbers. Some are.
Yep.
I am not so bullish on day supply numbers going back to anything normal until probably late fourth quarter, in my opinion.
Do you think that day supply numbers, like this is a great time for OEMs to like maybe strategize a little bit of a correction, for oversupply? Is this kind of like a reset button for them? Like who needs 100-day supply?
It is, and we had another one of those events, if you remember back in the Great Recession, right?
I do.
Where we had an opportunity to reset, and we did. And I remember, being in the back of a car heading to a ball game with Mike Jackson, and he was heavy on this push system, and fighting the manufacturers, and they got it right. Unfortunately, eventually, you kind of move back into the same system, and Paul, I'm afraid we're going to get there again. And I think what happens is if you talk to any manufacturer at the beginning of any normal year, they're going to say, yeah, the industry's going to be flat, but we're going to be up 5. Okay. Right. But everybody says that.
Yes.
So how's that going to work, right? How's that going to work?
It's almost like good times make for bad habits, right? So, and that's what happened after the Great Recession. Eventually, the economy comes back strong, and there's more fat and there's more flexibility. So you take it, and then everyone's unbridled optimism. Like I want you to project growth because everyone feels good. Like I don't want you to project a lot. Like who wants to come in with that message? That's an interesting point. Well, we'll see what happens. History tends to repeat itself. So for those of us who have been around a little bit longer, it's like you can start to see the trend. For those who are new to the industry, it's a great opportunity to listen to people such as yourself who have seen it come back around, because without a doubt, one thing we have today that we didn't have during the Great Recession is this free flow of communication across the industry. You look at everything that's going on from, the big players like NADA who have broad reach to people like myself that are just, swinging away trying to do what I can to have people share ideas, thoughts, and concepts, because that's where real innovation comes from. I wore this shirt today. It's my Innovation is a Choice shirt, because, even large groups tend to have the flexibility or at least the necessity to innovate, because everything that happens in the industry is like there's a multiplying facet of it. It's like, there's an inventory, the wholesale market goes down. Well, guess what? You have a whole lot of cars. Like that's a really big impact when a smaller dealer might be able to just liquidate a little bit of inventory quick and be okay. What are the things that you have been leaning on for, who are the people and the sources that you're leaning on these days to get your drip feed? I know every great CEO, every great leader consumes a lot. They read a lot. They listen a lot. So who are the people and the things that you lean on for your info?
Listen, I think Cox Automotive provides some amazing data. Tuesdays come and by the end of the day, if I don't have my download of stuff from the Jonathan Smokin team, I'm jonesing for that information, sending them emails. Hey man, where's my update? Where's my weekly update? And I think they do a really good job of kind of capsulizing pretty much all the angles and all the views, looking at, new applications that are coming through and the wholesale market. And then I like to look at Black Book. I think they've got some really good stuff. Obviously, in the Cox Automotive side, still we're talking about Manheim, those type of things. One of the things, and we kind of go back to new cars. I wanted to bring up is one of the big questions is going to be in 21, right? Is what's the SAAR going to look like? And so we know that a normalized SAAR is, high 16, maybe 17 million, what we would call a normalized SAAR. Take 1.5 million units out of that number for what we already know is going to be the fleet reduction from rental car companies. That's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah,
it's happening. So that puts us at 15.5 normalized. And from what all I'm seeing and understanding, I think we're probably going to be in the 13-ish million range. And the question is that enough on the day supply to keep things in line, to keep our margins, maybe not where they are now, but halfway between where they are now and where they were, which was tragic.
Yeah,
right?
That would be an improvement, right? If you look at that year over year.
Yeah, and you see a lot of the publics that are reporting are seeing SG&A improvements and stuff. Well, the grosses are through the roof.
Yeah.
So we found that we're about with everyone else. We had about a 17% reduction in force after COVID was done, and our folks are making more money.
Yep.
So everybody's happy with that, with the new normal in what we've done.
Yeah. So it's almost like it's generated this higher quality of positions, an increased focus on systems and efficiencies, and there's a reward that goes around with that. So it's almost like if we, like you said, if we get somewhere between where we were profit-wise and where we are now, and we can land there, if you skip all the turmoil of 2020, when you get to 2021, you're like, hey, actually, whatever just happened was good. For the people that were paying attention from a profit standpoint, it's a reset.
We call it a reset. I mean, listen, we're seeing net to sales numbers over 5%. As a company, we were 5% last month in July, I should say. Stores over 8%. Where have we seen those kind of numbers? I mean, the industry average was 2%, pre-COVID. So certainly, look, lots of horrible things with COVID, but on the other side of it, we're a very resilient group in the auto world, and I think we've come back and learned. And again, I say we, and I mean the group. She's not Prime. It's not what we do. It's all of us. I think have done a really good job, with that. And you mentioned early on when we first started to talk, there was something important in what we're kind of looking at right now. I think the digital marketplace, right? So you've got this traditional, the way we've always done it and since the 1980s. Come on into my dealership and spend 3-4 hours or 5 or 6 hours. And you've got Carvana that says, hey, you don't need to touch us. We don't need to touch you. We're just going to deliver you a car. And I think somewhere in between lies what people really want. We found that out in COVID. What they want is they want to do some meaningful work online, 3 hours, 30 hours, 5 hours, whatever they spend. They want to come into the dealership. They want that meaningful information to lead to something that when they're going to buy the car, they're going to spend less time. And they want to be in and out in about 30 minutes. But they want to talk to a subject matter expert about the car. And they want to talk to a finance guy. I mean, they're not experts. These are big purchases.
Yeah.
So we're really moving our model towards, hey, if you want to buy the car, soup the nuts, not talk to us, no problem. We're thinking less than 10%, probably. Now, that gives Carvana plenty of runway, right? 10% of a huge number of auto sales in any given year. It gives them plenty of ways to go with 40 million used car sales a year. But that's going to be a big change for the auto industry. And those that don't adapt to that and want to do things the way they were doing them before, probably not going to be around.
No, that's the truth. For sale, right? That's going to be a dealership for sale at a discount very shortly.
That's what I want to buy.
Absolutely. Like, that's your thing. You're like, I'm looking for those. If you feel that way, if you're overwhelmed, you don't think you can change, call Todd.
Yeah, exactly.
He will help you out. Well, that's all I have for today. I think that is some great quick shots. We're going to get these out really quick after the interview because information is perishable to an extended extent these days. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit about how you're thinking, what's going on. Parting question for you. This is more of a leadership question. What leaders, whether now historical or in general, have you looked to for kind of inspiration and motivation?
Oh, wow, man.
I know. It's so hard.
Wow, there's I mean, I can't name one. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be around in the auto industry. I mean, I think there's guys like, we talked a little bit earlier. There's guys like Dale Pollock that really made just a monumental change in the way that we operate and we do our business. Obviously, being around Mike Jackson for the 20 years that I was around him, I was there when he came and I left, and he's still there. Learned a lot from him in the auto business. So, and again, my career was pretty much that and this. It's the only two real jobs that I've had that matter. So I'll give a lot of credit to both of those guys, let's just say.
Very nice. That'll be it. Well, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us today. I know the people that watch and listen to this will very much appreciate it. I know I do. So thanks again.
All right, Paul. Thank you.